Morning, guys. I want to share some hopeful ideas with you today. It's pretty dark out there, but I do see some reason to be optimistic in the crypto markets. I posted on X yesterday that I thought we could see a pretty decent Bitcoin pump, possibly as high as 107K or so. So I want to just outline the case for that and then also talk about what it could potentially spiral into. I've been pretty bearish on Bitcoin for a while, since up here actually in in October, avoided pretty much that entire sell-off. Been trying to check my bearish sentiment and look for reasons to be bullish. I've expressed the idea that Bitcoin could go to 30K. And I will say that that is contingent in my mind on us closing the yearly candle below the yearly open, or 93.3K. I think if that doesn't happen, then that scenario is probably honestly off the table. And we're pretty close to that level right now. The reason I think that would be on the table is that would basically trigger sort of range to range sell off for me, take us down to about 38K just on the yearly candle trade back into this yearly order block here. But I'm not going to say that's my base case if we close a green candle. So there's that. The other thing is that the monthly chart, or the 2-month chart, which you guys saw me talking about earlier on this channel, because I was kind of thinking there was a decent chance like we would just sort of bottom in here and continue upward and just maintain structure. The sell-off ended up being quite nasty, and so I had to sort of temper that idea for a bit. But we do have this origin zone down here that price is very cleanly reacting off the mid-range from. And I pull up like the monthly chart. This looks like it wants lower. I pull up the weekly chart. It looks like it wants lower. But on the 3-day, we have like a very nice hammer candle here into the high time frame point of interest. And if I pull up a 12-day chart, this starts looking a lot cleaner to me. Because I can now define like a pretty obvious one candle range here from 107.7 to 85.6. The mid range here is at 96.6. So this is a pretty standard reversal pattern. You have expansion candle into a high time frame point of interest. You get the reversal candle, close your back inside the range, thick body. We have a little bit of a reaction off this fair value gap here and pull back, but that's all fine and good. I would pair the 12-hour with this, right, on the, for the lower time frame. And on the 12-hour, there's a very clear change in the state of delivery here, right? Which to me basically validates this entire thing as a potential bullish order block, origin order block, actually. And within this, we've got a nice little 12-hour sweep candle here, which you can see we are now, I think, forming a bottom in. And this is actually just some kind of basic higher high, lower high, higher high, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. And I think this goes at least for this little liquidity cluster here at 96.8K. So that trade is, I think, very high probability from here. This range high, I think, is also high probability. The higher probability is that we simply trade into this order block and reject. But like, I'm not so sure that that is going to be where price stops, like if this plays out, because This has just been like easy mode, down only price action for shorts. I know for a fact a bunch of people shorted on this breakdown with a bunch of stops up here. So I think these stops get blown out. But I don't think these stops are safe either, right? So I think coming into the end of the year, we could see a move towards 107K. It'd be a pretty big move, 22%, not unheard of for Bitcoin. But if we're even able to get to this is a bullish fair value gap on the 2-month, right? So if we were to close this yearly candle above 100K and respect this gap with the body of this candle and respect the opening of this order block, like you could imagine this starting to look like pretty good, right? Because people are going to start looking at this who are, well, people who trade like I trade anyway, going to start looking at this and saying like, okay, well, high or low respected. Yeah, we had a sell off, but that was just a sell off into this order block here. And now we've come all the way back up and respect it. And if we were able to close above 103, which is a lot more doable, right? Because that's just 17% up from here in a couple weeks, which, again, for Bitcoin, if Bitcoin wants to go, is no big deal. Well, this starts looking like really bullish at that point, because now you've just basically got just a sweep of your prior candle, like a major sweep if we close back inside this bullish candle. And then I think that opens the door up for some potentially pretty high targets, because if you use the fib projections that I like to use to, do targets on these trades, this high is kind of here in the -2. So I think 116 is pretty reasonable. Like, even if we're bearish, we could come in, just put a very nasty sort of like lower high in there and then dump. That's plausible. But like, again, if the yearly and the 2-month closes bullish, like the -4 up here is 144K. And I think you might have to believe that that's on the table. I think you might have to believe that that's on the table. So that's how this all could spiral very bullishly in the event that we do bottom here, as I think we will, and then we do complete this range trade to the range high, and that takes us into the end of the year, the end of the month, and suddenly the picture is very, 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 very different in crypto. So I thought it was worthy of being cautious here. I think it is very worthy of like putting some risk on here. I know a lot of people who've sold and basically converted to becoming stock traders. Possibly a bottom signal when all the the vape cabal influencers start trading stocks. Definitely something on my radar for sure. So if you are somebody who has nothing on anymore and you've sworn off crypto, probably not the best time to do that. Even if you wanted to have like a really tight invalidation and just say like, fuck it, I'm out on this low, and maybe I'll let myself get back in one more time if we sweep it. The risk reward on that is just so high. It's very asymmetric right now, and so I've been kind of recommending some longs in the Discord because I like asymmetry. I like knowing where I'm wrong, and I like knowing that where I'm wrong is a very small fraction of where price goes to if I'm right. And again, here we have the added bonus of this kind of snowballing into like a bullish yearly close, which could just totally change the picture coming into Q1 of 2026. And then we may be set up for like a classic mega bull to open the year. And then, your same old sell in May, go away, which maybe everybody front runs. And who knows how many months we actually get out of it. But it could be a lot more than people are pricing in right now. So I'm long Bitcoin now. I have been hedged since the top. My hedges are off. I am long a bunch of altcoins. I think that, Ethereum similarly looks okay here. It's going to be a similar setup to Bitcoin. There's a pretty clean bullish zone here. And we've got a pretty clean sweep of this internal liquidity on the daily. So I do see a reason for us to pump from here if we want to pump. Again, like it's just one of those spots where like the invalidation can be very tight, and like the reward, can be pretty high, even if you're trading to sort of like lower high territory. It's very attractive. And who knows if this thing turbo reverses, right? You're looking at like an enormous trade with like a small amount of well-defined risk. And even if you're wrong here 2/3 of the time, you're still going to make an incredible amount of money, so long as you don't bet your entire account on it and blow up, right? So that's the caveat there. So yeah, feeling good, feeling optimistic. Stocks are a little bit concerning to me in the short run, especially Nvidia, which I made a video on yesterday. If you guys want to check that out, but most of the market, other than Nvidia, does look okay, and so I think maybe stocks can avoid a pretty bad dump on an index wide basis, and maybe crypto can see some relief here, just as everybody and their mother has capitulated and sworn off the asset class. So those are my thoughts. We'll see how this pans out by next week. I full disclosure, I've got about a 50% hit rate on trades, right? The way I make money is that like I make a lot more money when I'm right on the 50% than I lose when I'm wrong. I try to find asymmetry, outsized returns to the upside versus the downside when I'm long, and that's the way it is, right? So keep that in mind when you're following advice of mine, because that's just how trading works. It is what it is. Thanks for watching the video, guys. As always, please subscribe, please like, and please check out the free Magic Lines Discord that just opened in the description below. Become a founding member, and join the journey with us. We've got a bunch of people in there who love trading, investing. It's a great community. The vibe is immaculate. So if you're a cool dude or dudette, please consider joining. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.